rules. I'm joined now by the RNC's chief strategist, also the spokesman, Sean Spicer. Sean, always good to see you, my friend. Before we get to that, I do want to start with what we're seeing play out in Maryland now, this morning with Donald Trump in the town hall, blowing up on social media as well. Who's right here on the transgender bathroom issue, Cruz or Trump?
I'm sorry, Craig, what was that?
On the transgender bathroom issue, the back and forth between Cruz and Trump, who's right?
I'm not going to go there. Each candidate's going to articulate what they want, the policies that they have, and the solutions. We've got enough going on down here in Florida at the RNC spring meeting.
Let's talk about that spring meeting. You know, the chairman's come under fire for his objection to any rules changes. It's been widely reported in a letter that was obtained by the Associated Press. Rules Committee's the chairman, Bruce Ashe, he accused Priebus of, quote, a breach of trust for trying to stop one proposed rule change. Why is the chairman against the proposed rules change, and what rule are we talking about here specifically?
That's a great question, because I think there's a lot of confusion about what's actually happening. Generally speaking, before a convention, the RNC Rules Committee, which is a separate body, makes recommendations to the convention about rules that need to be changed or they suggest to be changed. The Convention Rules Committee, which is 112 individuals, one man, one woman for every state and territory, then usually look at those recommendations and pass new rules for the Republican Party for the succeeding 4 years. This year, with all of the scrutiny that's going around, the chairman's position is that the RNC shouldn't make any recommendations at all and should leave all decisions to the elected delegates who have been chosen by the grassroots Republican voters from coast to coast.
Why is that?
Well, because I think that there's a lot of confusion and a lot of scrutiny. And all that actually would ever occur is that the RNC would make recommendations. But with everybody trying to figure out, does that recommendation hurt or hinder one particular candidate, the chairman's view is that the less that we do, the more transparent that we are, the more that people see that all of these decisions are being left entirely into the hands of the delegates who are elected by our grassroots voter. I think that's better for the system. It allows people to see what's happening, doesn't make people believe that something's occurring behind closed doors or in smoke-filled rooms. And so the chairman's view is transparency is best. Allow the democratic system to work its will.
Let's talk about another issue that the party seems to be facing. Folks not showing up in Cleveland. John McCain, Arizona senator, a one-time presidential nominee. He has added his name to the list of folks who have said they're not going to be at the convention, telling The Hill, quote, I have to campaign for re-election, and I have always done that when I'm up. We have a late primary in Arizona. We should note, though, that he did attend conventions that coincided with his 92 race, his 2004 race as well. Other senators not going, Kelly Ayotte, Mark Kirk, potentially Rob Portman, who represents Ohio. How bad does it look for the party that you've got so many senators that are worried about even attending the convention?
Well, as you said, every one of those senators is up for re-election. They're focusing on their race, their voters. I think, frankly, it makes a lot of sense. And I know that a lot of people want to make a big story out of it, but it actually happens. Craig, listen, I managed a race in 1996, a freshman congressman. He didn't attend the San Diego convention. That happens. People who have tough races are smart to concentrate on their races. Look, the bottom line is this, Craig. The demand signal to get a room in Cleveland, to get a space in Cleveland, is off the charts. Every one of whether it's the media, the delegates, the guests, the outside interests, the number of people that want to come to Cleveland, be a part of our convention is unbelievably phenomenal. And that's the facts. Those are, when you look at the number of people who are clamoring to be involved in this process, it's unreal.
Unless you're a senator who's in a tight race, apparently.
Sure. But why, if you're in a tight race, why would you go spend a week in Cleveland when you can be back home trying to get reelected? It happens. That's what people in tight races do. And I would suspect that if you ask members of the Democratic Party who are in tight races whether they're going to go hang out in Philadelphia, they'll give you the same answer.
Sean, we've heard Donald Trump continue to talk about how rigged this entire process is. If he does get the nation moving forward after the convention, how do you work with him? How do you go to the prom with a guy who's called you ugly all year?
Well, we're going to be the professional group that we've always been. We're focusing on building an amazing ground game, the top-notch digital and data operation. This is our job. We've said it all along. When the voters choose a nominee, we will march right behind them and do everything that we can to propel them to victory in November. So I understand a lot of words get thrown around during primary season. Sometimes they're not as constructive as they can be. But all three of those campaigns, for what it's worth, are down here during our meeting, talking to RNC members, talking to supporters and activists, making their case why they'd be the best nominee for our party. So I hear a lot of rhetoric on the campaign trail, but the reality is this. Each one of them understand what a great RNC we have, the successes that we have, the resources, staff, and equipment that we offer those candidates. We're the only entity that's been focused on the general election and have the tools to beat Hillary Clinton in November.
Sean Spicer, forgiving and forgetting, not just the spokesperson for the RNC, the chief diplomat as well. Always good to see you, my friend. Thanks for being with me.
Thank you, Craig.